Back here with the two-time Fantasy Analyst of the Year, Jamey Eisenberg. Let's start with Justin Fields, your start of the week. He didn't get the win, but he delivered for fantasy managers, racking up 35 points. I want to ask you, what stood out to you for Fields on Sunday?
Everything. I feel bad that he wasn't able to get the win there, and I'm surprised, just in terms of the gameplay that Matt Eberflus didn't click the field goal there instead of maybe trying to go for the win, but, that's a different story. But in terms of what Justin Fields did, it was just great to see him play with confidence, throw the ball the way that he was able to throw the ball today, over 300 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns. I thought really a lot of his fantasy production would come with his legs, but, really didn't have to rely on that just because he was connecting with DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and really taking apart this Broncos defense. So he took advantage of the great matchup. We'll see what he does Thursday night in Week 5 against the Commanders. We've seen this defense certainly be up and down. It's not going to be as easy of a situation, but I think what you saw from Justin Fields is certainly going to give you some encouragement. There's a sell-high window now as well, just in case you're concerned that the first 3 weeks is more of the quarterback that we'll see. But this shows you the upside of what Justin Fields can deliver, can still be a top-5 fantasy quarterback. I think some great days are going to be ahead, and so it should make everybody feel very, very comfortable if you drafted him that could still be a #1 quarterback for the season.
Okay, speaking of great days ahead, it took a while, but Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs both stepped up in a big way on Sunday. What's your read on both of these players moving forward?
Yeah, they needed it. It's been a struggle for the first, part of the season. Some of it's been some injury concerns, not just with them, but with their offensive lines. Derrick Henry's been sort of fighting through this toe injury, but 122 rushing yards, scored a touchdown, threw a touchdown, so you got some high-end production here. I do think, again, speaking of sell-high windows, for a guy who's 29 years old and maybe dealing with some sort of injury, not a bad idea to explore some trade options. For Josh Jacobs, I think we kind of expected it would take a little bit of time to see him. I don't know if we would have been told that you'd have to wait until Week 4 to see the best of Josh Jacobs, but 139 total yards, 8 catches, so the quarterback change was a benefit for him. Not that Jimmy Garoppolo has been prone to check down, but we saw Aiden O'Connell really look for him in the passing game. So I think Josh Jacobs is really locked in now as a #1 running back moving forward. You should feel good about him, but just finally good to see both these guys play at this level. We talked about it on our Sunday morning show that if they both had bad games once again, you might have to consider benching them in some leagues moving forward. Now you don't have to worry about that as long as they're healthy and good to go.
Okay, let's stick with the ball carriers, because after putting up historic numbers last week against the Broncos, the Dolphins rookie running back De'Von Achane had an encore performance against the Bills, over 100 yards rushing to go along with 2 touchdowns in the loss. But is he someone we think will continue this kind of production for the long haul while also sharing carries with Raheem Mostert?
I think he can. You're talking about a couple of things at play here. First off, we don't know when Jeff Wilson will return. He's still on IR dealing with that abdomen injury. He is eligible to return in Week 5, but we have not heard anything positive in regard to him coming back. Raheem Mostert's also 31, and you saw the upside play of what De'Von Achane could be today compared to what the downside could be for Raheem Mostert when he's not producing at the level that he had showed through the first 3 weeks of the season. Clearly, there is a youth factor and I think an upside factor that favors De'Von Achane. So in a game where the Dolphins offense finally struggled, he was still the lone bright spot, and he did that with under 10 carries. So as long as they're going to continue to give him work, he has that breakaway ability. He can work in the passing game. And at some point, if Raheem Mostert misses any time and he does get the ability, the opportunity to show that he can carry the ball maybe 15 to 20 times on a consistent basis, the upside is through the roof. So you got a real steal with De'Von Achane, and I think he is here to stay, can be at least a #2 running back in every league moving forward. Great matchup in Week 5 against the Giants as well.
We believe Achane's here to stay. I like hearing that. Let's go from one rookie making history to another. How about Rams receiver Puka Nacua? Continues to outdo himself and also make fantasy managers very, very happy. 163 yards receiving on 9 catches, including his first career touchdown, the walk-off winner in overtime against the Colts. But as the Rams' leading receiver through 4 weeks, how do you foresee his target share changing with Cooper Kupp expected to return from IR potentially in Week 5?
That's the biggest question, and so we're going to have to figure out what happens. First off, just because Kupp is eligible to return in Week 5, and even though if they do activate him off of the IR list, that does not mean they have to play him in Week 5. There's a 21-day window, so they might just be cautious and take their time making sure that, as Sean McVay said, that he's ready to return to performance, not necessarily return to play. So you might still get a couple weeks of still the high-end production from Puka Nacua, but there's going to be a downturn. I mean, he's not going to be the target leader as long as Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp. That's Matthew Stafford's go-to guy, and he's been unbelievable. Kupp has for the last 3 to 4 seasons. So I think you just have to understand that there's going to be a little bit of a downturn in production. To what degree, though, that's what we're going to have to wait and see. So I think if he do get cut back in week 5, then I think you just view him as a number 2 receiver in terms of Puka Nacua, and then you just sort of gauge it moving forward. So there is still a sell-high window. You know, there might be some people that say, okay, he's here to stay. This is the younger guy. He's got the attention of Matthew Stafford, the attention of Sean McVay right now. I don't see him necessarily disappearing. And we do know once upon a time the Rams were able to support 2 wide receivers to a high level in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. So maybe Nacua does fill that second role, but you just have to understand that there's going to be a little bit of a change coming. You saw it today, Tutu Atwell disappearing. He's going to be somebody you got to be concerned about as well. But we just hope that Cooper Kupp doesn't completely crush Puka Nacua, because like you said, he's been record-breaking and an absolute find and a star for fantasy managers.
And that is why you are the 2-time Fantasy Analyst of the Year. Thank you so much, Jamey. And if you want more from Jamey, you're going to want to check out the Fantasy Football Today podcast. Jamey's joined by Heath Cummings, Dave Richard, and Adam Azer throughout the year, giving you all the advice you need to win your league. And it's available wherever you get your podcasts.